Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel Curious to Ask, and this is a Marvel episode review of Loki, Series 1, Episode 1. So, the Episode 1 is called Glorious Purpose. So we start in New York City 2012 and we have an Avengers flashback sequence, and first of all, it's like Loki's eyes when he sees the Tesseract is being moved about the building. He's like, ooh, it's so cute. And then we see Hulk. I love Hulk. I really enjoyed seeing Hulk again. Yay! I just love Hulk. And then we have 2012 Thor. It's going, Loki, Loki. And then we've got then the Marvel titles start, and it's like a really slow, sort of creepy, eerie style violin music for the intro. And then the title logo, it turns into green and gold. And then my Disney app crashed then, and Loki was being naughty, and he crashed my Disney app, so I had to restart it. And then we got after I restarted, and then after the titles, we have really cool cinematography shot of a water drop hanging off a rocky sand bit, and it has got a bug inside the water drop, and I thought that was really cool cinematography. And we've got a location title of Gobi Desert, Mongolia, and we see some tents in the distance, and then this blue portal opens in the sky and a blue beam falls down diagonally, and it looks awesome. And then because Loki's grabbed the Tesseract and he's arrived here, and then he starts getting up because he fell into the sand, and then the Mongolian people who live in that desert, they come to see him, and he says, and they ask who he is and why he's come to their home, and he says, I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. And then a rectangle doorway portal appears, and 3 guards walk through, and they find the Tesseract, and then Loki confronts them, and then another guard comes through the portal, and they're fixing a standard sequence violation and have a gadget, and they show the time branch, the branching of time, and how anything branches off from it, and they are the Time Variance Authority. And actually, I thought they remind me a lot of the Time Police from the Chronicles of St. Mary's books. So if you like Loki, then I think you'll love the Chronicles of St. Mary's books, because they have Time Police in that, and they do it pretty much exactly what they do on the Loki show. They go around and they fix people using rogue time machines and stuff, and they go through and fix timelines and things. So then Loki is being arrested for crimes against the sacred timeline, and because he's broke his own timeline, he is classed as a variant. The guard hits Loki with the baton, and then we see it goes in slow motion, and we see the slow motion effects of Loki's face, and his face is bouncing from the impact of the baton, and it looks awesome. It looks really funny, and he's moving at 1/16th speed, but he's feeling the pain at real time. So the TVA reset the timeline after arresting Loki, and then they have this like lamp, and it has like magic inside the lamp, and it changes colour, and that's how it resets the timeline. And they arrive at the TVA office. Loki tries running off, but they have the officers, and Hunter B-15 specifically, they have this really cool gadget, and it's like a remote control. It's like he starts running off, and they could go, and they rewind him, and it's so funny. I love it. And the office, the interior design of Loki is amazing. Of the Time Variance Authorities building is really cool. I felt it was very claustrophobic, and it's got that 70s orange brown colour scheme, very reminiscent of Stanley Kubrick and Space Odyssey. So the Tesseract is logged as evidence, and Loki is put in this like room, which is like a lift shaft / cupboard, and there's a really cute robot. And this robot is so cute, and I'm assuming they're going to do merch of this robot because he's so cute. And then the robot strips Loki naked, but then the floor collapses underneath Loki, and he is a bit. Oh, yeah, that's it. Like Wallace and Gromit, he is put into his uniform, he falls into his uniform. And then he lands in this other room, and there's a kitty, and it's really cute. And this other room is a bit like, starts going a bit like Twin Peaks then. So he has to sign to verify that the transcript has written down everything Loki's ever said, and then he says what, and the transcriptor types that bit out. So that was really funny. I was surprised that the stack of paper wasn't that big though. I would have thought the stack of paper would be bigger. Like, is that all? Is that all he's ever said? Just that much? So Loki signs it, and then the floor collapses underneath him again, and now he has to go through this sort of like airport security. I forgot what it's called. The security sensor thing that you walk through, and there's a really funny capture joke, and Loki has to confirm he's organic and has a soul. And then he says, do a lot of people not know if they're robots? And then he asks if he was a robot but didn't know what would happen. And it turns out the machine would melt him from the inside out. So that's it. So the scanner machine is like an airport, and as he goes through, it takes a photo of his temporal aura. I think that's so cool. And then there's a queue, and it's like one of them snaking theme park or bank style queues, and he has to queue up, and there's a variant guy before him, and he says, and the guard says, take your ticket. Says, what, like a deli? And the guard before him is like, no, I ain't taking a ticket. And the guy before him gets to the front of the queue, then he's sapped into dust, and it's like, Loki's like. But anyway, there's really cool, interesting posters on the wall. There's an eye one, like a Big Brother eye, and there's a poster with a cartoon clock, and it says, behave, clock cleaned. And then there's a video of the cartoon clock, and the cartoon clock is called Miss Minutes. And there's a really cool animation sequence, and they have Blue Thunder in animated, and it's like a 60s or 70s style cartoon, and it's all about how a vast multiversal war occurred and it nearly destroyed everything. Then the all-knowing timekeepers emerged, and reminds me of the Time Lords, and they reorganized the multiverse into a single timeline, the sacred timeline. Now, the timekeepers protect and preserve the proper flow of time for everyone and everything, but sometimes people like Loki veer off the path the timekeepers created, and those people are called variants. Stepping off your path creates a new nexus event which, left unchecked, could branch off into madness. Oh, hang on, Multiverse of Madness, that's a nod to the Doctor Strange movies coming up. So, leading to another multiversal war. Then the cartoon says, danger, multiverse. To make sure that doesn't happen, the timekeepers created the TVA and all its incredible workers. And it says Loki's actions have left him without a place on the timeline, so he must stand trial for his offensive. And then we see the logo of the TVA, and it says for all time, always. Then it says the Time Variance Authority Commission, and the seal of the logo is like a sun timer with wings. That's what it looked like to me anyway. And then the other guy, that's when the other guy in the queue is arguing with the guard, and he's sacked. And then Loki's like, oh bloody hell, where's my ticket? And then and only then do we have the opening titles, and they occur at 11 minutes 55. So, and they're pretty cool, and Loki's name is spelled in all different fonts. So after the credits, we are in Aix-en-Provence, France, 1549, and the guards, and this guy played by Owen Wilson, who we later find out is called Mobius. And the hunter and his mini-men, they responded to a routine Nexus event, but when they arrived, somebody has done them all in, and they're in a cathedral, and then a kid walks into the cathedral, and Mobius draws a stick figure on his device, and it turns into a hologram, an animated stick figure, and he shows it to the kid, and then he asks, do you know who did this? And the kid points to a stained glass window of the devil, and Mobius says they'll take care of the devil and put the kid back where he belongs. And then he notices the kid's got blue teeth, and it's because the kid's being given modern chewing gum from whoever did in the guards. So he gives the chewing gum to a guard and tells him to scan it for sequence, period, and temporal aura. But then they're running out of time, so they have to get back to the office because the branch is nearing the red line, so they need to go. And Mobius tells the kid to go wait outside. And then a portal door opens, and the TVA worker comes through with some paperwork, and to reveal to Mobius that Loki has been apprehended. So then we're in the TVA courtroom, and we see Laufeyson variant L1130, aka Loki Laufeyson, is charged with sequence violation 72089. And the judge asks him, how do you plead? And Luke says, madam, a god doesn't plead. And then he pleads, and he ends up pleading not guilty of a crime against the sacred timeline. And then there's 3 faces on the wall behind the judge, who must be the timekeepers. And then Loki says they should charge the Avengers, because they only got the test, because Loki only got that tesseract because they travelled through time. And Loki offers to eliminate the Avengers for them, but the judge says what they did was supposed to happen. You escaping was not. So Loki offers to speak to the timekeepers, but the judge says they're too busy. They dictate the proper flow of time, and the judge dictates the proper flow of time according to the timekeeper's dictations. And so Loki pleads guilty, but then he tries to escape, but he can't use his powers in the TVA, so he's sentenced to be reset. And the judge says, it's not your story, Mr. Laufeyson. It never was. It reminds me of that meme. So Mobius approaches the bench and says he has an idea of what Loki is capable of, because he suspects that because he knows this person, the fugitive, the chasing, is Loki. So it's like, And so he escorts Loki out of the room, and they walk through the corridor, and the view of the balcony of the TVA is amazing. It's like this really high-tech modern city with flying cars and everything. And Loki says, I thought there was no magic here. And Mobius says there isn't, and it's like a very spacey, racy themed city. And then says, oh, and Loki threatens to destroy the place, but and it says, and Mobius mentioned that there's a nightmare department, and he says he'll have him destroy the nightmare department. I love that there's different departments like that. That's so fun. And then the left, as I noted that the left, they go on the left, but instead of numbers, there is 3-digit letter codes. So I got TSY, SYF, J3E, TE7, IUL, GYE, FE3, 2WE, LK3, 3FG, 2W1, CET, and then there was a couple below that, but I couldn't quite get to see what it said. But I'm sure if you watch New Rockstar's channel, they'll probably go through the Easter eggs to explain what all those codes are. And so Mobius introduces himself to Loki, and he talks about how time passes differently in the TVA. And Loki thinks, oh, this is all absurd. So they enter another gaudy orangey, but this room is rectangular. And the whole place is like really oppressive, closed in, orangey tones. And it feels really claustrophobic. I thought how they did the interior design was brilliant. And so because Loki has always lived within his set path, he's never needed to know of the existence of the TVA. Loki tries to attack Mobius, but Mobius just presses the time twizzler and he goes, and I love that. It just rewinds him. It's so funny. And then, so Mobius specializes in the pursuit of dangerous variants, and he's got some questions for Loki to answer, honestly. And there was a little meme on Twitter about this show, and it's like, what is going on with these powerful phase 4? Is it like a prolonged advert for therapy? Because they have had like Wanda sort of in therapy with Agatha showing you all what her childhood was and why she does this and why she feels like that. And then we had Bucky in therapy, and now we have Loki being given therapy. That is so fun. So the first question he wants Loki to answer is, should Loki return, what is he gonna do? So should Loki return to his timeline, he would finish what he started. He would be king of Midgard, Asgard, the 9 realms, and then maybe says, and space. And then Loki says the biggest lie is a song of freedom, that for nearly every living thing, choice breeds shame and uncertainty and regret. There's a fork in every road, yet the wrong path always taken. Mobius presses a button on this hollow projector machine, and it plays like clips from their movies, and it shows what Loki's done. So the Avengers appear on the screen, and then there's a clip of Loki asking for a drink, and then he shows him a clip of Loki killing Phil Coulson. And Mobius is needing Loki, and he's accusing Loki of being cruel and evil, and Loki's just refusing to accept this view of himself, and he just says, oh, he's a liberator and do mischief. And then we see a really cool bit, and it's the DB Cooper flight, which I'm really fascinated by that story. And so it turns out that Loki is DB Cooper, and when he jumped from the plane wearing the parachute, he's zapped back up to Asgard via the Bifrost, and all the money from the briefcase falls from the sky. And turns out he had a bet with Thor, and he lost the bet. And then Mobius asks him, what is it you're really running from? And he's saying, I want you to be honest about why you do what you do. and he wants a deeper understanding of the fearsome god of mischief, what makes Loki tick. Then Loki says this place is an illusion. It's a cruel, elaborate trick conjured by the weak to inspire fear, a desperate attempt at control. My choice is my own. And Mobius plays another clip, and Loki's, I'm on the verge of acquiring everything I am owed, and when I do it because I did it, not because it was supposed to happen. Then Mobius plays a clip of Loki arriving on Asgard in chains and meeting up with his mum. And the TVA knows Loki's whole life and how it's all meant to be. And Mobius says, think of it as comforting. And then, so I think this Loki is before the battle with the Dark Elves. So Mobius says, do you enjoy hurting people? Do you enjoy killing? And Loki's like, I'll kill you. And Mobius says, what? Like you did your mother? And then Loki throws a chair at the screen and he runs to attack Mobius, but Mobius just rewinds him again. But it doesn't rewind the chair, so Loki falls on his ass. And then Mobius says, you weren't born to be king, Loki. You were born to cause pain and suffering and death. That's how it is, that's how it was, that's how it will be. Also, that others can achieve their best versions of themselves. It's like, what? That's just, like, that's a horrible thing to say, that is. It's like, but it's also like, what makes you tick? And then he says, why do you do what you do? And Mobius says, might be confused because Mobius might be saying what Loki thinks of himself there. I don't know if that was Mobius saying, oh, the TVA, no, this is what you were born to do, this is what you were going to do anyway, or if he's saying what Loki believes us. I'm confused. Anyway, a clip, and we have another clip of the Avengers, and Loki is like, what is this place? So, and then Hunter B-15 enters the room, and they have a situation that Mobius has to deal with, and he leaves Loki in the room. So, the Hunter is saying, we should just reset him, and Mobius is saying, no, I'm talking to him, I can get through to him. And then, but the TVA just lost another unit of officers from the fugitive variant. So Mobius walks back into the interview room, but Loki's missing. He's got out of the room. So he's in a corridor, and there's a big orangey tiled wall which looks like chocolate, and that's where he sapped himself to. And then there's a couple of officers walk through a door portal, and there's a poster on the wall that says tidy timeline, stable society, which is real cool, which I think the time police in the Chronicles of St. Mary's totally have that poster. So there's this office dude, and he's pushing a trolley of supplies down the corridor, and then the officers and Mobius are looking for Loki, and Hunter 615 says, split up, prune on side, and Mobius is like, no, don't prune or reset, that he can help us. So Loki enters this office, and it's like all the admin people, and he threatens this Casey guy to give him back the Tesseract, which is sat in Casey's drawer. And so Loki grabs the Tesseract, and then he notices there's loads of Infinity Stones just lying about in Casey's drawer. It's like, how'd you have these? And Casey says, oh, I actually got a lot of those. Some of them use them as paperweights. And then Loki picks up the green one, and he gasps and looks around the office, and he's sort of wistful. It's like, is this the greatest power in the universe? Kind of thing. And then the two VA officers come barging in, and they go to hit Loki, but he gets away with the Tesseract. I don't know if they accidentally on purpose pruned Casey's trolley. It's like of his office supplies. So Loki ends up back in the interview room, and the Avengers are on the screen, and Loki rewinds the tape, and it's the image of his mother, and he starts crying, and it's really sweet. And he plays a clip of Odin saying, "I love you, my sons," and he's crying, and it's like, "Oh, Loki." And then a clip of Thor plays, "Loki, I thought the world of you. I thought we were going to fight side by side forever." And clip from Thor Ragnarok, and Thor saying, "Maybe you're not so bad after all, brother." And Loki, "Maybe not. Thank you. If you were here, might even give you a hug. I'm here." But I thought they were going to, that's when we were going to finally see the hug. But they didn't show it. It's like, oh no. And then there's a clip of Loki facing up to Thanos, but the Loki at the TV hasn't got to this bit in his timeline yet. So he's like, Loki's like, oh, scared. He's actually scared. And it says end of file. And somebody noted on Twitter that end of file, an anagram is end of life. So I thought, oh. And then Loki starts laughing, and the Hunter B-15 walks in and he says, "What's so funny?" And Loki says, "Glorious purpose." Then Loki tries to fight Hunter B-15, but they slam him onto the table. He grabs the time twister, rips off his collar, puts it on the guard, and saps him. And then he plays with them, using the time rewind a bit. And then Casey's in the corridor and is complaining to with the other staff that they pruned his trolley. Then B-15 appears and they're like stuck. Then Mobius enters the room and he's got this big glowy stick. And Loki's saying, "I can't go back, can I? Back to my timeline. I don't enjoy hurting people. I don't enjoy it. I do it because I have to. Because I've had to." Mobius says, "Okay, explain that to me." And Loki says, "Because it's part of the illusion. It's a cruel, elaborate trick conjured by the weak," and he points to himself to inspire fear. And Mobius says, "Desperate play for control. So you do know yourself." And Loki's like, "A villain." And Mobius says, "That's not how I see it." And the Tesseract and the Infinity Stones, they don't have any power at the TVA. So that's where they're just using them as office equipment. And Mobius is saying, "I can't offer you salvation, but maybe I can offer you something better. A fugitive variant's been killing our Minutemen." And Loki says, "You need the god of mischief to help you stop him." And Mobius says, "That's right." And Loki says, "Why me?" And Mobius says, "The variant we're hunting is you." And then Loki's like, "I beg your pardon." And then Celine end scene, and then new scene, Selena, Oklahoma, 1858. A portal door, and the TVA officers, and they arrive in a field, but this red device is there, and it's like a circle with bright lights on, and it says, and they scan it, it says time signature is early 3rd millennium, definitely anachronistic. And then it says, "Oil, I think some jackass found himself a time machine, came back here to get rich." So they decide to just prune it and leave, but then they see someone, and this person sets a light to the field, and the person, then they take the pruning device, and then we get the art credits, which are really cool, and there's so many Easter eggs in the credits, and what looks like Gallifreyan writing is in the credits too. And then we've got there's another like picture in the art credit. It says, "So you're a variant," and it's got a stick figure with a round head, a stick figure with a hexagon head, stick figure with a triangle, stick figure, and they've all got different shaped heads. I thought that was funny. And then after the text credits, we get Miss Minutes saying, "Thanks for visiting the TVA. Don't hesitate to let us know how we're doing." I thought that was good. That was meta, because that Marvel saying, don't forget to tell us what you think of the show. So I thought it was really interesting. It's like, so I'm excited to see what happens in the rest of the show and to find out what all the Easter eggs mean. So I think it's a really cool show. I'm really excited. It's awesome. So coming up next will be pictures of my notes. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. Yay!